He was predestined to be an athlete even before he was born. At the age of 2, he could do 200 dumbbell press-ups, and by the age of 15, he had practiced a lot of different strength sports. But eventually, he chose skeleton racing, a sport which was quite new to Ukraine. Vladyslav Heraskevych first represented our country in this sport in the 2016 Winter Youth Olympic Games. He also has ambitious plans to make his debut in skeleton racing at the Winter Olympics in 2018. Meet Vladyslav Heraskevych in today's World of Sports programme. Zodiac sign: Capricorn. Favourite season? It's winter, of course, because I was born a true Capricorn. Country? Something impressed me in Switzerland. There are very interesting people there. I also liked Germany. Vlad was born into the family of the famous coach and athlete Mihailo Heraskevych, and from early childhood he made his father happy with his achievements in sports. From the age of 2 weeks, the toddler was involved in passive gymnastics. And when Vlad wasn't 2 weeks old, but already 2 years old, he easily did 200 press-ups. At the age of 2, he also could do 15 pull-ups. First, he got into the gym at the age of 3. Our friends opened a sports club. We came to the opening and he immediately started lifting the dumbbells. All the guests were highly impressed. Boxing was Vlad's first sport in his childhood. After some time had passed, he decided to try himself out in mixed martial arts. Before this, I was into contemporary dances for a while. But my dad said it's not the right sport for real men. So I started practicing different forms of mixed martial arts. I did Sambo for some time, and then I began practicing strength athletics with my father. Mihailo Heraskevych was training Olha Lashchuk and Lydia Hunko in strength athletics. He achieved tremendous success with them. They earned victories in the Championships of Europe, World Championships and the famous Arnold Sports Festival. According to Olha and Lydia, Vlad could have also become a successful strongman. As he went to the championships at the age of 17 and carried 360 kilos on his shoulders for a few meters at the Savitska Classic, I think by now he could have become a very successful strongman. I believe that an athlete's heart should be totally into it. If the training session begins at 3 p.m. and an athlete can't do some exercise, then he or she will work until 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. and just do it. Vlad's father continues coaching him. They train together with strongmen, but the goals and the physical loads are different. Vlad is instead training to become a world-class skeleton racer. Lydia personally finds this extreme form of sport to be quite frightening. I would be afraid to do this. Well, maybe I just say that, because flying at such a speed with your head down is worthy of respect. And he says, now it's no longer interesting to go to some water parks. I think that everyone should try out all kinds of sports a little bit. If he found himself in this and he enjoys it, then I think that it's his sport. And he's definitely a very talented and promising athlete. I believe that he will manage to reach the top in skeleton racing. He sets his goals and strives to attain them. I think that skeleton racing is his sport. Thanks to the sports experience of Vlad's father, Vlad discovered skeleton racing. Mihailo used to do bobsleighing and even earned a license in a team of 4 people in the 1998 Olympic Games in Japan. But according to the decision of the Ministry of Sports, only 2 athletes were sent to the Olympics. And now, 20 years later, his son had the opportunity to make his father's dream come true. Bobsleighing and skeleton racing are similar in many respects and are even united in the federation. In 2014, the family team began training to represent Ukraine in skeleton racing at the Winter Youth Olympic Games. As there were no special tracks in Ukraine, they were invited to train in Latvia with the well-known coach Danis Dukurs. We walked along the track. Vlad saw it for the first time. He saw these bends and 5-meter concrete walls, which were icy in the winter. He understood where he was getting stuck. But since we drove 1,000 kilometers, we talked to Danis. Danis asked us questions, learned that Vlad had great math and physics skills, and was highly intellectual. He looked how he was running, evaluated his physical shape and said, "I agree to help you, and I suggest that you start training as part of the junior team of Latvia." I believe it was a gift from God, because any strong team in the world, for example, the teams of Germany, the US or Russia, would dream of getting their athlete trained in the junior team of Latvia, given the number of victories that Latvian athletes have won over the years in this sport. My first training was when I ran on an overpass. It was a little scary and I fell on the ice, but somehow I overcame myself. It was scary to ride a skeleton before the competitions, but then I pulled myself together and I wasn't afraid at all and I somehow got used to it. Favorite film? I like The Fast and the Furious saga. Favorite music? Totally different genres and styles. Favorite actor? It used to be Paul Walker, who died. Only Vlad's mother, Alla, couldn't put up with the choice of her husband and son to engage in this extreme sport, as it's quite dangerous. The record speed Vlad is currently developing on the track is 133 kilometers per hour. When his mother first came to skeleton racing, I said to her, "Here's a task for you. Take a camera and shoot the passage of the bends. The speed isn't fast here, about 100 kilometers an hour, so you'll have enough time." She replied, "Okay." When I came after the first ride, she said, "I haven't shot anything." She cried and asked, "Was it our son? I only had time to see something flash past me." She said, "It's ice, it's scary and it's so dangerous." Well, we laughed together with my son and we calmed his mother down. Vlad is a student of the physics department of the Kiev National Taras Shevchenko University. His mathematics skills, together with excellent physical shape, allowed Vlad to quickly master this new extreme sport and understand all of its subtleties. Physical shape should be very good because you have to run very fast at the start. Secondly, equipment is important because it's such a high-tech sport, so you need good equipment, a skeleton and skates. Everything should be of the highest level, and what is most important is that you need to understand the ride and the trajectory. At the age of 16, Vlad participated in his first official skeleton racing competition, the European Cup in Austria. He took 34th place. 2 years later, at the Adult World Championship in Bavaria, he came in 24th place. A week before the start, Vlad fell seriously ill, but he still had enough will to take part in the competition. The technique of his riding, his persistence, his skills, his sense of the track and his timing, it's a professional expression, incited a heated debate, and the chief judge himself came and said it was cool. Considering that Ukraine is represented by the youngest 18-year-old participant in the championship, considering that you have never participated in the World Championship before, and given that you've been performing only for 2 full-fledged seasons, it was really cool. At the 2016 Winter Youth Olympics, Vladyslav Heraskevych became a standard-bearer of the Ukrainian team, and only after one training season he took 8th place in the debut sport for Ukraine, skeleton racing. But of course, Vlad wanted to achieve an even better result. We had passed through a very serious selection process before, and it took a very long time. So at the Olympics, we felt more or less familiar and natural. In general, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and there was a very pleasant atmosphere. Happiness. I'm happy when people around me are happy. They stand by me. Then I'm a very happy person. Dream in sports. I dream of making my father happy and winning some prize at the Olympics. I want my father, my mother, and all people that surround me to be very proud of my achievements. After Vlad's successful performance at the Games in Lillehammer, many people said Vlad could represent Ukraine at the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang in South Korea. Over the past season, Vlad has scored a large number of points. Indeed, he had chalked up enough points to make it to the Adult World Cup competition in skeleton racing. In the 2017-2018 season, Vlad will perform together with the elite of world skeleton racing. And believe me, it's not that easy to become a participant of the Olympic skeleton racing tournament. There is a very complex selection and qualifying system. Only 30 people will be a part of the men's team. 30 men from all over the world will be selected according to the world ranking and specific counting system. 3 teams will get 3 people each, 6 teams will get 2 people each, and 5 teams will get 1 person each. And there are 3 more vacant places for Australia, South Africa and South America. South Korea, as the organizer, will get the 30th place. So we need to make it get into the top 5 countries, which will be represented by 1 athlete, and this is an extremely unpredictable option. Only on January the 12th, 2018, the names of all skeleton racers who will participate in the Olympics will be determined and announced. Meanwhile, Vlad is going through training sessions in Kiev under the guidance of his father and in the company of his friends. Mihailo constantly torments him with barriers. He runs a lot and he does specific exercises which our coach likes. The start is very important in skeleton racing, meaning the racing start. Therefore, in summer, we practice it. We just run. It's all about physical preparation. So we have a lot of physical training to do in the summer. Favorite dish? I like the homemade food which my mother prepares. What can you cook? I can make a really good omelette. Favorite drink? Probably curdled milk. Vlad is trained by his father. There are pros and cons in it, but of course there are more positive moments. Of course there are some conflicts with the coach, and somehow now it gets into the family. There are pros and cons. Well, on the other hand, my dad doesn't wish me bad, and he certainly won't harm my health. Dad will always take care of me, so I think there are more advantages than disadvantages. And as Vlad said in an interview, we are growing together with my father in this sport, which is totally new to Ukraine. We're growing together. My father is growing as a coach, and I'm growing as an athlete. Vlad Heraskevych has his own personal role model in sports. He met him when he was going through rigorous training on the Latvian skeleton racing team. It's Martins Dukus. He's a legend in this sport. He won more than 50 World Cups, and only 8 of them are held each year. He's an 8-time world champion. I looked up to him very much. He's definitely my role model in this sport. In the future, Vlad wants to engage in science, but now nothing prevents him from fulfilling himself in sports. He's a person who overcomes obstacles when he has a goal, and a person who is ready to persevere to reach his dreams. And hopefully, thanks to this talented guy, the Ukrainian skeleton racing team will increase the number of medals won at next year's Winter Olympics. No skeletons in the closet, just medals.